Good afternoon and welcome to another edition of the Daily Fix. I am your usual host and presenter, Advocate Tulo Hoyani. There's been some information which one of my, investigators, one of my informants, told me this morning that, I've been keeping this information away from you. I was wondering whether you are going to use this information. And I said to him, I'll use any information. Give me the information. So he gave me the information about some 2 hours ago. And this is the information. Remember Brigadier Ndlovu? Brigadier Ndlovu, let me start by saying that Brigadier Ndlovu was one of the first people on the scene after Senzo Meyiwa had been shot and killed. You'll recall when Musia was in court, he also confessed that, or told the court, that he was under the direction and supervision of Brigadier Ndlovu. So Brigadier Ndlovu, it would appear one of the first things that he differed with those people who are pushing the narrative of 636 was the cell phone rather, that was supposed to have been robbed from Kelly Khumalo. You'll recall from the evidence in the Meyiwa trial that one of the things that those intruders is supposed to have taken during that robbery gone wrong, that is what they call it, was that they took a cell phone from Kelly Khumalo. And immediately thereafter, there was a lot of talk that these people would then be traced through the tracking of that cell phone. And I am informed by former Constable Klapadima that, that cell phone was in fact tracked by Brigadier Ndlovu. And it was discovered, or investigation revealed that, in fact, that cell phone never left the Khumalo house. It was either in the house or somewhere in the yard, but it never left the vicinity of the house. In other words, Brigadier Ndlovu then formed the opinion that there would have been no intruders, because if one of the intruders had robbed Kelly Khumalo of the cell phone and actually left with the cell phone, when the cell phone is tracked, it would then be discovered that the cell phone in fact left the Khumalo house premises and went somewhere. Now that cell phone has never been found, but its tracking revealed that it never left the premises of the Khumalo house. So it was at that stage that Brigadier Ndlovu realized or came to the conclusion that there had been no intruders into that house, because these people in the house were alleging that a cell phone had also been robbed from them. And yet that cell phone had never left the premises of the Khumalo house. Remember also that the people in the house reported that there were intruders, and these intruders, among other things, robbed that cell phone, right? And after robbing the cell phone, they ran in the direction of the park. The tracking of that cell phone revealed that it never left the premises of the Khumalo house. And what conclusion can we draw from this? The only conclusion we can draw from this is that the cell phone was in fact never robbed, because in fact there had never been any intruders, and that cell phone remained with Kelly Khumalo, or one of the people in that house, and somehow got disposed of. But exactly how, at this stage, we still don't know how it disappeared, because that cell phone has never been found. Now, let us come back to Brigadier Ndlovu. After he had formed the theory that there had been no intruders into that house, right? He then realized that there was a plot by people pushing the narrative of 636. right? To say, right? There were people behind. Let me put it this way: there are people behind 636. He then realized that actually they were up to defeating the ends of justice. This is why in docket 375 we have that stolen statement, and it would appear that it is not the only stolen statement, because one of the things that Brigadier Ndlovu intended to do was to charge those who are pushing the narrative of 636 with defeating the ends of justice, because from his investigations had revealed that there had been no intruders into that house. So to come up with some kind of theory, right, a fictitious theory that there were intruders into that house, was obviously an act intended to defeat the end of justice. That is why, former Constable Kapadima says they were just thrown off the trail. So that is the reason why Brigadier Ndlovu was killed. He was going to be a star witness for the defense. He was going to be a one witness that would in no time at all rubbish completely the intruder theory of 636. So once Tefo had come up with this evidence that Ndlovu had recorded a statement from somebody who had told him exactly what had happened in that house. In other words, that there had been no intruders into that house. Little wonder then do we see Ndlovu soon thereafter lose his life. You see? And so determined are these people pushing the narrative of 636 that even after Ndlovu lost his life or was killed, or they eliminated him, his wife started having doubts around how her husband had died. So she wanted the body of her husband to be post-mortemed. But no sooner had she started that initiative to have the body, subjected or post-mortemed, she was then shot in a hail of bullets. So this is the shocking news that I want to bring you, right? That this is the real reason why Brigadier Ndlovu was eliminated, because Brigadier Ndlovu was determined to get to the bottom of all this with concrete evidence before that court. And this was evidence that was going to come before court had he not been killed. And his wife was suspicious that he had been killed because he had that information at his disposal, which he was going to disclose and rubbish the entire 636 theory that there had been intruders into that house. So, in simple language, that is how Brigadier Ndlovu lost his life. He just had information that some people did not want to hear anything about. So a plan was hatched to get rid of Brigadier Ndlovu. And this is why Brigadier Ndlovu is not here today. This is why I always say the Meyiwa investigation, is a very troubling area to be navigating. Because everybody that gets involved here pushes the narrative that there were no intruders, gets eliminated. So there you have it. Ndlovu was eliminated because he just knew too much. He had too much of the truth at his disposal. And had Ndlovu lived, we would be saying something different today. Having said that, let me thank you for watching this video, and please have a nice afternoon and enjoy the rest of the day.